Look back on the past with a smile and move forward with what you have learned that will give God the glory. Nashville pianist Jason Coleman believes there's more to playing the piano than just melodies and rhythms. The connections between music and memories, piano and family are inseparable. And as a grandson of piano legend Floyd Cramer, it's only natural that the timeless music of days gone by would find new life in Jason's fingers. Although Jason was only 12 years old when Floyd passed away, their close relationship formed the foundation upon which Jason has built his own career in the studio and on stage. This is his story. This is today's Nashville. This is Faith. Jason, I have been wanting you on my show for a long time. Welcome to today's Nashville.
Well, I'm thrilled to be here with you today. Thanks for having me.
You have quite a past, Nashville pianist, but your grandfather taught you how to play the piano.
He did. I suppose I come from good stock. I've born and raised here in Nashville, and I'm thankful to have known Floyd Cramer as my granddad. He's one that, you know, any country music fan, especially of that early Nashville sound era, is going to recognize his name and his hits. And it's even for folks who don't know Floyd Cramer by name have heard his music because he played on all of those iconic Elvis Presley and Patsy Cline and Roy Orbison and Brenda Lee, all the records in the 50s and 60s he was a part of. And so I'm fortunate to have grown up playing beside him on the piano bench, and now get to spend my time and my career playing piano and trying to bring new life to the style that he left behind.
Well, what was it like growing up with him?
Yeah, so I was 12 when he passed away as a child, but up until then we were very close. I mean, more than anything, people, you know, ask that same question. What was it like having Floyd Cramer as your grandfather? And for me, more than anything though, he was just granddad. And that's always been most important to me to think back, you know, because even when I was a kid, I remember he was out, he was in the studio recording all the time. He was out on the road all the time, you know, playing tour dates, and people still loved him. He was still very active in his career. And I remember being a part of some of those things. I'd go with him and visit the studio and sit and listen. My family and I would go out on the road with him and you know, watch him perform in front of all these crowds. But that's not what sticks out the most to me. What sticks out the most is that he was just my granddad. And you know, my little brother and I and my cousins, we just would go to grandma and granddad's house and spend the night. And like any grandkids would do, you stay up late, and later than you could stay up at home with your own mom and dad and eat all the junk food you want to eat and
right.
Sleep in and just had a good time. And so that's what I look back on as a kid and remember the most about Floyd Cramer, is that he wasn't Floyd Cramer. He was just granddad. You know, it's been since he passed away, as I've gotten older, that I've really come to, you know, appreciate his impact and his legacy. And, you know, it was after he passed away too that he was inducted into both the Country Music Hall of Fame and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which he's only one of about, I don't know, a dozen people inducted into both the Rock Hall and the Country Hall of Fame. And so, you know, as I've gotten older, I came to really realize just beyond him being a famous piano player, is what I knew as a kid, that he was truly, you know, one of the most influential musicians here in Nashville, especially to be a part of that. And so, but looking back, he was your granddad.
Did you know he was famous at the time?
I mean, I knew he was famous, but I don't think I knew, well, I didn't know as a kid. You know, you can't really know all the history and everything that he was a part of. You know, I knew that people loved his music and that he made people happy with his music and that he was a great piano player. We always had in the car. I mean, the soundtrack of my life as a kid was Floyd Cramer on cassette tape in our car. And I knew it's funny, I knew more songs that were just timeless, familiar songs everybody knows. I knew them from him playing them on the piano more than I knew them from the original artist playing them. You know, as far as I was concerned, all of these great songs that he would play, that he would cover on the piano, were his songs, not, you know, all the original famous songs. In gospel music as well, I knew more gospel songs from what he played on piano more than I even knew them singing them
Was
myself.
he strong in his faith?
He was. I'm thankful for my granddad, all my grandparents, parents who have grown up in a family of faith. That's all I've known from the very beginning is faith. We were in church, as kids, but it went a lot deeper than that. In that it was always a house full of love, full of laughter, and just full of trust. He grew up. My grandma and he grew up in Arkansas and met. Once my grandma was 18 and he'd moved to the town, or my grandma had moved to his town where he grew up, and they met. But my grandma tells even her grandfather was a Free Will Baptist preacher in a little church in Arkansas, and so it goes deep in my roots on both sides, and I'm thankful to have had that foundation from all my grandparents.
How did he get to Nashville?
Well, yeah, so Granddad grew up in a little town. It was Huttig, Arkansas, right across the Louisiana border, and grew up playing piano himself just from an early age. And grew up playing the Louisiana Hayride radio show after he graduated high school. I think he was supposed to be at college, and his mom and dad found out that he was not in class and wondered where he was. He was actually off making music. He was playing Louisiana Hayride, backing up artists that would come through that iconic radio show. And then it was after he met and married my grandma on their 1-year wedding anniversary. This was in 1955, I believe it was. They packed up and moved to Nashville. Not a whole lot more than just the hope of some more work to come.
The dream, the Nashville dream.
It was the dream. And he had gone back and forth for some sessions they were living in Shreveport at the time, doing the Louisiana Hayride down there in Shreveport, Louisiana. And he had gone back and forth for some recording sessions. Chet Atkins had sort of identified him as an up-and-coming talent and told him if he moved to Nashville, he thought he could get him some more work. And so he did, and they moved. They said all they had were their clothes, and they had a TV on their, bringing a TV with them just so they had something to do, I guess, once they got here. But it was, I think, the next day after they moved to Nashville, he had a session with the Carter family, and it was later that same year he played on Heartbreak Hotel for Elvis, and the list just went on and on from there, and he began to establish himself as sort of the go-to piano player here in Nashville.
I heard that he was friends with Michael Jackson.
Well, Michael Jackson and their family, it was Michael Jackson's mother loved Floyd Cramer. And it's funny, we've heard of that from, artists and entertainers and celebrities who you would never imagine would have known him. So it was in the 80s that Granddad got a call randomly from the Jackson family asking if he could come out to California and be the surprise special guest performer for, it was Michael Jackson's mother's birthday. I remember if it was her, what anniversary or what birthday it was, but so they flew my granddad and my grandma out all the way to, I guess it was the ranch out there in California, and Michael introduced Granddad as the big surprise guest, and we have, I think, some video, and they had a news article about it at the time of Floyd Cramer being the surprise, and he played a couple of songs, and Michael sang a couple with him. So, but it's neat. It's like no matter who it is, whether it's just even people still today that have a story for his songs and remember every song he played has a special meaning to somebody different, and even someone like Michael Jackson and the Jackson family. You never know how far the music's gonna reach.
That's amazing. And because of your grandfather, you are playing a lot, touring, playing the piano, Grand Ole Opry, and it started your career. And we're gonna talk about it when we come back.